Hey everyone and welcome. Hope everyone's good. Well, as good as can be in these times of stupidity, I suppose. Today we're going to look at a very interesting development in my opinion. The article is in The Independent and it's titled Sir Keir Starmer refuses to back Brexit transition extension.
And I do believe that we have rotten politics, and I'm not using that as an exaggeration.
Let's watch him, shall we? He's on Nick Fawawi's LBC show.
Peter, the government says it's going to get the negotiations and the deal done by the end of the year. I've always thought that's tight and pretty unlikely, but we're going to hold them to that and see how they get on. But they say they're going to do it. But the first point you made, I did want to skip that because it's a really important one, which is nearly every year there's a flu epidemic. And we have immunisation against that and vaccine against that. We need to get a plan for that sorted out because I can see the problem, and you will know this better than me. The symptoms of ordinary flu, which we have in the winter, we didn't have so much this year.
Remember that, we'll be talking about that.
Will be very similar to coronavirus, and therefore a plan needs to be put in place now to make sure that what we pick up in November, December is either flu or COVID-19, and distinguishing between the two and getting a vaccine in place. It's one of the things I wrote to the Prime Minister about last weekend because I could see a real problem coming down the track.
As regards Brexit, Sir Keir, were you in, and I remember, and obviously you and I spoke a lot about the whole premise of Brexit, but we are where we are, would you seek to press pause now, were you Prime Minister?
Well, I would seek to ensure that the negotiations were completed as quickly as possible. I've not called for a pause because the government says it's going to get done by the end of the year.
So let's get this clear. He's demanding clarity from the government but won't give clarity himself.
Well, aren't you riding
we'll
both horses there? With respect, you're saying you don't think it's practical, but then you wouldn't press pause. You're falling between both your mixed message here. Sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's practical, but we're a long way from December, so we'll see how we get on. But the government has said it can do it within the 12 months, so let's see.
Let's break that down. Firstly, he actually said lurgy is like the flu in regards to symptoms, and we have flu deaths every winter. Then he said, and we haven't had that this year. That was the quote. We haven't had that this year. Let me say, do some research, everyone. But here's a teaser. We have flu deaths every year without fail. Now, if you look at this chart, 2014 to 15, 28,000, 2015, 16, 11,000, 16 to 17, 18,000, 17 to 18, 26,000, and 18 to 19, 1,000. Now, this was actually up until the 15th week of 2019. Every single year we have deaths to the flu, and most of it's to the elderly. Have you noticed that as well? Now, I'm obviously not scientific enough to give you an in-depth analysis of this, so I couldn't tell you if it's how accurate it is. But as an overview tool, it's quite revealing. So on average, we have between 11,000 and 28,000 every single year. Deaths, that is. This chart as well is from the gov.uk source, so it is what they're actually officially putting out. So now he's saying we haven't had that this year. Makes you question, doesn't it? Makes you wonder. Anyway, off topic. The fence sitting never stops with Starmer, does it? Don't forget, this is the Brexit man, the one who thought Labour should negotiate for a deal, then campaign against it. So he's a renowned appeaser, and a bad one at that. Even Theresa could give lessons to this man. And I say, man, he's a simp in my opinion. Which is brilliant for us, isn't it? I think he's hoping Boris messes up so he can say, ha, told you so, I'm better than you. But if he throws his eggs in with one basket, i.e. if he says no, we should go for an extension and Boris is right and gets us out with an okay deal, he'd be the one that would be getting the ha, we told you so, wouldn't he? So I think he's fence sitting on this one. No minerals, you see. His mandanglies have obviously been shrunken by all the anti-British hatred directed at him by his own party. Can't see the Europhile commie momentum being happy bunnies about this, can you? Poor Starmer. Let's read, shall we? Keir Starmer has rejected calls for the Brexit transition period to be extended, saying he would rather the negotiations were completed as quickly as possible. The deadline for agreeing a further extension to the transition period is next month, and some opposition parties, including the SNP and Lib Dems, who cares, have called for the government to request one in light of the lurgy pandemic. Now, we don't care. Lib Dems have only got 11 seats, and who cares about the SNP at all? If no extension is agreed, then the UK will lead the single market at the end of the year, with or without a deal, potentially taking significant economic damage. The Labour leader said he didn't think it was practical to agree a deal by December, but that he nevertheless wanted to see how we get on in talks. You mean he wants to do the old politics of jealousy? He wants to be able to go, see, you're rubbish, I'm brilliant, everyone should vote for me because I didn't give any sort of constructive criticism at all. Because that's all he does, doesn't he? He just criticises and doesn't give solutions. Asked whether he would support an extension with the deadline looming in June, Sir Keir told LBC Radio the government says it's going to get negotiations and get a deal done by the end of the year. I've always thought that's tight and pretty unlikely, but we're going to hold them to that and see how they get on. I'm hoping that they just don't get on at all and wait till the end and go, oops, see, you had your time. That's pretty much 4 years you've had to do a deal and you've not managed it. It's not our fault, it's your fault. EU's fault, not our fault. See ya! Pushed again to clarify his position on the issue, he said, I would seek to ensure that the negotiations were completed as quickly as possible. I've not called for a pause because the government says it's going to get it done by the end of the year. See what I mean? Fence it up. So let's see how they get on. How could you ever contemplate voting for someone that can't make a decision? You understand what I mean by that? It seems he's got a track record of not doing things. Am I wrong? I don't think it's practical, but we're a long way from December, so we'll see how we get on. He likes that term, doesn't he? But the government has said we can do it within the 12 months, so let's see. Boris Johnson has said he will not support an extension under any circumstances. Yes, and the people will hold him to that, despite negotiating a mechanism to call for one into the withdrawal agreement. The European Commission has said it would be happy to agree. I actually think they've figured out a mechanism. Not it was written in. You've got to remember, this is the Independent. They're an extremely anti-government paper, this. The European Commission has said it would be happy to agree an extension in light of the pandemic and pressures on negotiations. Yep, because they need every penny of our treasury and all of our taxes. Otherwise, they're doomed. If no free trade agreement is agreed before the UK leaves the transition period, we're out. And we're off. During which it is treated like an EU member state, the economic damage from the sharp break with Europe is expected to be significant. I think sticking with the European Union at the minute with what they're talking about, i.e. no more referendums for member states. Do you hear that one? Yeah, that's a new one. They don't want anyone to be able to do the same as what we did. Great that, isn't it? Europe and the European people. I bet you're loving that one, aren't you? Do you not feel a sense of dread and doom coming your way? Because I do. Talks so far have got off to a slow start with 2 rounds being cancelled due to the pandemic. Negotiations have resumed via video conferencing, but both sides are still far apart on issues such as fishing, you're not having them, human rights, ours are better than yours, state aid, you mean give us your money because we needs it. And the role of the EU court. We don't care about the EU court anymore. The EU court is what made us want to leave you in the first place, boyo. Polling suggests strong public support for extending the transition period. Polls on your paper. Don't lie. We all know polls are rubbish, don't we, anyway? They're all biased pieces of crap. I wouldn't even wipe my backside on most of them. Sir Keir was also asked about Labour's policy to help renters during the lurgy lockdown, which some critics have said favours landlords over tenants. You want to know why it favours landlords over tenants? Because if there are no landlords, there are no tenants. Knock-on effect, isn't it? They don't see this sort of thing though, do they? He defended not calling for a rent holiday, telling the caller if all rents are suspended, full stop, then the government... Right, well, this is another question from the interview that wasn't actually shown in the video. So I think that's a bit pointless going any further on that. Now, what's my opinion on this? He's a lily-livered wetback, isn't he, Starmer? He hasn't got the guts to tell his own opinions. He's a yes man. So it makes me think he's a figurehead. We need to figure out who's got his hand up his jacksie, don't we, to puppet master him? Because it's obvious it's not him making the decisions, is it? Is it? I don't think this man likes making decisions. I think we've got another Corbyn. Another, I don't want to be the leader of the country. I just want to be able to shout at the leader of the country because it makes me feel like I've got big boy pants on. In regards to, I'm not too sure what this is going to do for his Labour holdings, because we all know the Labour people that voted leave still want to leave. So he's still cut off the workers of his party, hasn't he? And he's still trying to appease the radicals in his party. So I think this is going to eat him alive. But let me know what you think, everyone. Do you think the same? Do you think this man is just pointless as an opposition? He doesn't sound like he has a clue. He doesn't want to do anything for himself. He just wants to have a go at the people that do, which does, in my opinion, seem to be what Labour have been throughout history. I think Labour has always been the opposition. I think they were designed as such. But anyway, I get off topic again. Let me know what you think. If you're new, don't forget to hit the like, comment, subscribe. Please share it out, everyone. It really helps me out a lot. And I'll see you on the next one.